Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Guest today, Bryan Willard. Bryan, it's really good to have you on. I appreciate you being here. And let us know, first of all, where you're calling in from and what you do for a living with Valley Isle Kombucha.
Yeah, I'm out in Maui, Hawaii. So awesome. Way out here in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I'm the CEO of Valley Isle Kombucha.
That's amazing. And tell me a little bit about, obviously, kombucha is kind of an up-and-coming, product. I think people are starting to get a lot more turned on to. And obviously, I think conversations about gut health in general have become a little bit more popular sentiment in recent years. So, but tell me a little bit about leading up to, founding this brand. What did you kind of find out there in the market that was maybe problematic, or what were you trying to do a little bit differently with your kombucha brand?
Yeah, there's no end in sight with this category. Everyone knows what kombucha is now. Everyone has their friends drink it, their family drinks it. They know the health benefits of it. They can never find that one brand that they can drink on a consistent basis due to the fact of flavor profile. They'll go buy it because they've heard about it. They know that it's good for the gut and rebalances the pH, however you want to, whatever you've heard, and they drink it and it tastes like vinegar. So Valley Isle Kombucha, I'm trying to keep it simple, is the brand that keeps them coming back. At one point we had, prior to the Lahaina fire, we had a kombucha bar, and there was a line out the door every day. We had 16 flavors of kombucha on tap, and we would get a lot of people from Texas and the Northeast and Florida, all over the United States. And of course, it's the first thing we would offer them, and they would say, "No, thank you. I've tried kombucha. It's not for me." And we kind of challenged them on we could probably find a flavor that they would like, I guess. We're pretty blessed out here in the Hawaiian Islands with the fruits that we have access to year round, from passion fruit to guava, pineapple, and some of the citrus and lemongrass and herbs that grow here year round. So we've infused our kombucha with all of these natural flavors, and natural meaning that we have abundant access to organic farms all over the island of Maui. And, they taste it and go, wow, I can do this. And these are a lot of tourists. a lot of local as well, but they would fly home and walk into their local Whole Foods and go, you shoot us an email and say, "Bryan, where can I get this stuff? This is really the only kombucha that I've tasted that I can actually come back to. So where can I find it?" And that was kind of the deal breaker. Sorry, we haven't made the leap, or we haven't bridged that gap to the mainland US yet. So we started e-commerce, and we kind of found that there was a mainland market. The challenge was really, kind of finding our demographic. Here, it's easy. Here, it's 85 degrees year round. Everyone's fairly healthy, whether we're surfing or playing pickleball or going for a run. The weather always permits, nice outdoor activity, a good hike, whatever it might be. But I had the opportunity, and I always kind of kick myself by expanding the brand so big in the Hawaiian Islands. And, fairly quickly, we started in 2011, and I was selling real estate, doing extremely well. I was in my 20s, making tons of dough, and why would anyone walk away from that? I tasted kombucha, and I played football and baseball and snowboarding, skateboarding, surfing, pretty much every sport there is out there. And I think at one point I had a subscription of vitamins and supplements, and they were just piling up in the corner of my house. And when I went and tasted kombucha, that was really the only, I guess, supplement that really curved my appetite and gave me the energy to do what I really wanted to do in the recovery with the glucosamines and the vitamin Bs. It really helped my recovery when, it was time to rest or move on to the next sport or whatever it was. So we had the opportunity to move to the expand to the mainland. But of course, small business, I didn't have the capital or the wherewithal I didn't know where to start. So we started e-commerce, and we actually found that, okay, there's a demographic out there on the mainland United States that absolutely loves our kombucha. I think our return rate was silly, up above 50%.
Oh, wow.
And, we couldn't, this was during the COVID time. So that was a pretty challenging time. And our restaurant, our tap room basically became our fulfillment center. So, we couldn't move. We couldn't really go anywhere. And the restaurant was closed. There was no tourists on island. So we started shipping across the mainland or across the ocean. And return was awesome. People can't get enough. Again, this is the one brand where Valley Isle Kombucha actually converts non-kombucha drinkers into kombucha drinkers with the flavor profile. So when you taste it, that's one thing. A lot of companies these days are taking a lot of shortcuts. We never pasteurized our kombucha, which a lot of people, a lot of brands are, and kind of over fermenting it. So there's a lot of brands out there that still tastes like vinegar. I'm sure you've tasted it too, and you're like, I can't drink this. Why did I even open this bottle? But we're expanding like a wildfire on the West Coast and moving east. Just got into the Texas market, and it's blood, sweat, and tears. I can't tell you how hard it is. Being an entrepreneur, selling real estate, I look back and go, God, that was easy. Show a house, paint a picture, do some paperwork, and on to the next. This, we're up against some Goliath brands backed by heavy capital. And, right now I'm trying to fund this thing for as long as I can, but doing well. It's peaks and valleys, man. I just can't tell you, one day I'm up, next few days I'm down going, why am I doing this? But it's really the little wins, I guess, that keep us going. But we're way out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, so it's tough.
Yeah, it's amazing. And obviously, being sourced out of Hawaii as well, obviously probably poses some unique challenges insofar as like everything that you ship to the mainland is obviously, that's a long journey. It's not like shipping from, the Midwest to Texas or the Midwest to California or something. So how do you kind of grapple with the cost of shipping something to the mainland, which is obviously going to expand your market like crazy? How do you kind of grapple with the added shipping costs of having to ship so far across the Pacific from Hawaii into the mainland?
Yeah, so we just had the Lahaina fire. Our production facility was in Lahaina. I'm sure you heard of the fire.
Yeah.
Our facility was condemned for almost 6 months. It went from 4 months being blocked off by the National Guard and then another, I think, 2 months with the water contamination. So I had to make an executive decision. We actually wound up opening a bottling facility in the state of Oregon.
Oh, awesome.
So we still have our facility here, yet that's now a distilled spirit plant. So we'll continue to brew. We do supply a lot of the smaller accounts and kegs and, some of our bottled products, but mostly kegs like Lavender Farm and a lot of coffee shops and hotels. And we'll also be doing kombucha cocktails out of there, here pretty quick. So we are now in a cutting edge facility up in the state of Oregon. So, I had no idea if that was going to be temporary or not, but we had to supply. We just made that move. I think we just got picked up by UNFI, the largest, of course, natural and organic distributor in the United States. And then we got picked up by KeHE, then DPI, then a few independent distributors. So it's been kind of one after the other. So when a company like Kroger comes to you, you don't say no. When Sprouts comes to you, you don't say no. So we continue to pump some volume out of that facility up in Oregon. And what that's allowing us to do is save a lot on shipping, of course, and supply the entire West Coast. So now we're in Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, Utah, Nevada, all of California. And, really what we're trying to do now is meet the demand of some of the hundreds of independent venues that we find ourselves in right now. Maui is kind of coming back to life. Not the same vibe as it was before without Lahaina. It was pretty bad. We're doing whatever we can do to help, but most of our bottling is now done up in the Northwest, which helps a ton on the shipping fees because, gosh, you manufacture anything in Hawaii, from personnel costs to the taxes to the gas prices to the fuel charges. shipping inter-island, we had to make a move. And, we believe that it kind of saved our butts in a lot of ways, deciding to do that scary move, as an entrepreneur, a big decision.
Big investment.
But we made it work.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I mean, working with some of these really big distributors, obviously, that leads me to believe that, most of the business that you're doing in the States, in the mainland states now, is through wholesale. Can you give me kind of a breakdown between how much business you're doing working with distributors and selling into like wholesale and retail doors versus how much you're doing through like direct to consumer as well?
So direct to consumer only in Hawaii.
Gotcha.
That was kind of a tricky part for us. Here, we're able to we did the deliveries. We were able to go into the stores on Oahu and Maui and Kauai and the Big Island and merchandise ourselves. We had a whole team out here to go into the stores and actually have a presence. And in Hawaii, you could literally walk up to the store manager and say, hey, I have some cases in my van. Can we have that space right there? And they would literally say, sure, go grab them. Let's move these guys out of the way and put you right here, right now. That's not the case on the mainland. Here on the mainland, so you look at a company like Sprouts. So we're in every Sprout store in Northern California. And the reason I kind of joke around about expanding the brand so big in the state of Hawaii. Nobody knew what kombucha was in 2011 when I first started. So you've got GT's Kombucha or Synergy, you've got Health Aid, and then you've got a few others like Brew Doctor and, a lot of other brands that have come and gone. And I can see why they have come and gone. This is a super competitive space. So in order to get into some of these, the volumes are picking up month to month. Between Maui and Oahu at one point and fairly quickly, we're doing over $1 million. And each island is one county. So we're doing over $1 million just on Maui and Oahu. So there's something to be said about that. And as soon as you start shipping outer island from Kauai to the Big Island, then you start tacking on some pretty hefty fuel charges with the inter-island young brothers. But as far as, grappling with some of these competitors on the mainland, like I said, we're up against some Goliaths, and you learn very quickly that you're at the mercy of these distributors and the big chains. We could not keep our product on the shelf here in Hawaii at $6.99 a bottle. $6-7. Flew off the shelf. Still does. It's not quite that much anymore because, we've made some adjustments. But right. You go to the mainland, you cannot sell, period, a bottle for $6.99 when your competitors are an everyday low price of $3.99. It just doesn't happen. So you continue to be boxed in. And, I wouldn't say we're a commodity, but you're kind of commoditized on the mainland market. And you're kind of forced to run some of the aggressive promotions that you need to run to pick up that velocity. If you don't keep that velocity with the distributors, no explanation, you're out. And you have to wait till their next review. And that's really the toughest part. First of all, we have brokers all over the United States that know the review schedules. Leave it up to me, I'd probably miss a couple. I have too much going on. I also have 2 kids, an 11-year-old and a 15-year-old in school out here, and trying to run the business out here. But running the business from here on the mainland, it's been tough as far as when something goes wrong or you're not getting the velocity you need. Perfect example just happened with Sprouts. We were set at $4.99. We launched into Sprouts at $4.99. And you look at the data and go, oh yeah, we're doing quite well. But then you have a different conversation with the buyer of Sprouts. And he goes, hey, your velocity, it ain't that good, in a nice way. And you kind of go back to the drawing board and they always ask you, and they're not afraid to ask, would you be willing to go down to an everyday low price of X? So you have to kind of go back and, work with your CFO and your marketing team. And yeah, that was tough for me. The same thing happened up in the Northwest. The same thing just happened in Northern California. And I've come to terms with it. We just can't sell a bottle of kombucha, in a competitive category for $6.99. You can't even do it for $4.99. So since we've changed, again, gone back to the drawing board and shaved off a little here, but kept the integrity, kept the quality of the brand and negotiated over here. And that's really all you can do because, as a brand, you don't have a lot of wiggle room as a, quote, small business or a small company trying to break into a large competitive category. It just doesn't work. So, again, we're kind of at the mercy of our competitors. We are at the mercy of our distributors, and we call them a necessary evil. Hey, if you want to be in 450 sprouts, you better do whatever you have to do to make it in one region so you can expand into another region and onto those. Of course, all our goal is to basically not only be profitable, but what it takes to get profitable is a kick in the butt. I'll tell you that. Maybe talk about sleepless nights.
Appreciate you sharing your experience there. And it's obviously, something I hear from a lot of CPG brand owners trying to get into retail because there's always a competition. And it's usually one of these 5 or 6 really big brands. And they, are always doing the volume where their margins can be as thin as razor thin, but they're just doing the volume enough where it still makes sense. But for a growing brand, you're looking to get a little more out of each individual unit, right? Because you're not doing millions and millions a month. So no, it definitely makes sense. I appreciate you sharing that because I know a lot of our people are kind of similar situation, especially today, looking into getting into the Sprouts and the Myers and all that stuff of the world. So, but I guess I'm curious, what's kind of kept you from maybe embracing more of like a DTC channel to your business up to this point? Obviously, retail is kind of makes perfect sense for this product. I can definitely see it being mostly revenue probably forever. What's kind of been the challenge with doing D2C in the mainland up to this point?
Yeah, D2C, good timing on that question because we're working on that as we speak.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so here we just don't have the fulfillment space, I'd say. Here, when we did it here, direct to consumer, we were a member of the Hawaii Coffee Association, and we got really good rates. We can ship, a case of kombucha anywhere in the United States for, $20-$30 via 2-day shipping, which was awesome, 26 pounds. But, these are the COVID days. But, we would have to set our pages out of stock because we just didn't have the time we were packing these cases ourselves and it's too much we had challenges with. Here we could go all day. We can grab a pineapple and infuse the kombucha with the pineapple. And of course, it's going to taste awesome. Packaging equipment, liners, gel packs, box, keeping the product cold until, from point A to point B and just really managing, D2C. So we are now in the process we're working with the fulfillment space on the mainland United States, whether that's going to be on the West Coast, Midwest, East Coast, or all three. We don't know yet. We are going to be going to cans. So we're in glass now. Glass is just heavy. Although, we love being in cans, it, doesn't really affect the integrity, but we're doing a lot of testing on probably a canned product. So the shipping rates are a lot more reasonable. And it's just, we're looking at kind of ambient shipping times of when, we're doing some pretty lengthy testing as far as heat. Because if we ship a 6-pack to Texas in the middle of summer, it's 110 degrees and somebody's not home, they're down in Florida for the week and it's just sitting there. Remember, you're dealing with a raw kombucha, so it's going to explode. So some of the challenges we've had on that is really the price point. And, again, shipping glass is heavy. You've got to have the volumes. And, one of the things that we continue to run into is the fulfillment facilities. They have a minimum. You have to sell $5,000 per week or $10,000, $15,000 per month for them to even consider doing business with you. So as the brand owner, you're going, oh, well, we did X out of Hawaii. I don't know. That may be doable. I just don't know. But as a brand owner, you kind of have to just go for it. So yes, we're in the middle of, setting up D2C again. We're moving forward methodically, where before we did not. So we know there's a market for it. We want to do D2C. But as a brand owner, you lay there at night and you don't tell anybody this and you go, can I hit those numbers? Like, can I do 20, 30, 40? Can I do 50,000 a week just in e-com? And I believe the answer is yes. I crunch numbers in my head 24/7 and The answer is yeah. So we're going to go for it. But to minimize some of the shipping costs from shipping glass, we are going to design a beautiful can. It's going to be the same formulation, and that's going to reduce some of those shipping costs and fuel charges that we're up against. And they're hefty these days, man. I mean, they go up and down. There's nothing we can do about it. And we have a whole team that's just consistently looking at supply chain and, logistic. And that's really what we need to finalize before we start the D2C division, I'd say, of Valley Isle Kombucha. But we're getting there.
And I know it's definitely tough, especially with like a lot of cold pressed juice brands I've spoken to have the same thing where they're going through these situations where they're trying to figure out how far from the facility they can ship without it having to be a cold ship and a cold truck, when just having like the packs and the insulation will be enough to get it there. And you think about shipping other places like Texas in the summer, probably not going to cut it.
Probably not a good idea.
Yeah. I hear a lot of, or have a lot of discussions with people, and the way that they think about it is basically, if I'm shipping out of South Carolina, say, to ship to Florida, we could definitely get away with it there. But then you think about, you want to ship nationwide, to get something from South Carolina to California, it's going to cost you a little bit more money. So like, do you pass that on to the consumer as the cost? Do you average it out for everybody that's ordering so everybody pays the same? Do you change it, make it variable? It's a really difficult stage. Yeah, I know it can be a really difficult kind of thought process, but it's good that you're doing some testing, because I think some folks can, just kind of jump in there with it, hoping that it'll work. And when it doesn't, that's obviously the worst case scenario. So it's good that you're being diligent on the front end to kind of figure out if those things are going to be feasible and which way is the best direction to go. So as much as you are like, let's just do it, I mean, you're obviously very much being diligent as well. So I think it's really important.
We've had the option to pasteurize our kombucha, but then you're taking away all the microbial benefits of a raw, authentic kombucha. And we don't want to do it. Although there is no expiration date for raw kombucha, it simply turns into vinegar. Matter of fact, some of our clients or some of our customers have actually left their kombucha. They opened it, they poured it out, and they left it out just simply to turn into vinegar. But we want them to experience that flavor profile of Valley Isle Kombucha when they first open it. So we always try, we're diligent on getting it from point A to point B in a timely manner where they open it, and, they get to experience Valley Isle Kombucha and what the flavor profile is all about. There's a lot of other brands out there who, they label their product pineapple, and then you take a sip and you're like, oh, where's the pineapple notes? Oh, they're using a flavor. Never mind. Or a cherry vanilla, and hey, that sounds great. Where's the cherry? Where's the vanilla? So Valley Isle Kombucha, the reason we're moving forward so methodically is just because, we want to basically, it's a flavor profile that's unmatched. So we want to make sure that when our customers open that box, they get their little aloha welcome letter, the story of Valley Isle Kombucha, and they get to experience the flavor profile and, the notes of a pineapple and the ginger and the passion fruit. We just launched a new flavor called Twilight. It's huckleberry and elderberry. And if that's ruined, you start getting into credits and chargebacks and, and all that. And then they're not happy, and then they're just not going to come back. So yeah, not fun.
It's obviously always, a difficult conversation to have with yourself and your team to try to never compromise on those things, but also still make it logistically make sense, especially on the D2C front. I know you kind of have to figure all that stuff out on your own. Working with distributors, they kind of deal with all those things to make sure the fulfillment is there. Doing it on your own, working with a fulfillment direct to people, it can be, I know, very much a challenge. And believe me, it's probably the number one thing I hear from other CPG brands that come on the podcast. So I know it's difficult, but I know a lot of people have also figured it out and made it wildly successful. So I can tell you from my experience, it seems like you're on the right track. I think you're taking the right steps and being diligent enough where I believe in what you're doing. And I would just say, just keep going, man. That's awesome.
I have my doubts.
Yeah.
I have my doubts all the time, every day, but that's the entrepreneur life for you.
Sure is. Yeah. If I learned nothing else from interviewing, entrepreneurs and business owners over the past 3 months, over 100 now, that's definitely my number one takeaway for sure. Yeah. I just want to also, Bryan, just quickly before we get off here to just give you an opportunity to shout out your website. I know you're just ramping up your D2C, so I don't know if there's any opportunity for pre-orders or people to subscribe by email or anything, but just let people know the best way to stay in touch with you all. Yeah,
there is. The website is www.valleyislekombucha. That's VALLEY. Isle, IS as in Sam, LE. Kombucha. For all of you who call it kombucha, it's spelled K-O-M as in Mary, BUCHA.com. The answer is yes. If a flavor looks good for you or good to you, just simply enter your email and you will get an alert when the cases or that flavor or SKU becomes available. Check us out on Instagram, ValleyIsleKombucha.com or Valley Isle Kombucha. Check us out on TikTok. We're getting that all ramped up. LinkedIn. You guys can reach me directly on either. And hey, we're coming at you, man. We're giving these big brands a run for their money as we did in Hawaii. And, we can't wait for you guys to taste this stuff. Again, Valley Isle Kombucha is absolutely the brand that converts non-kombucha drinkers into kombucha drinkers. Something you can drink every day, good for the gut.
Awesome, man. I love it. I love my kombucha. I kind of go for the kind of same basic one over and over. So I've been kind of looking for something new and fresh to try. So I just put my email in. I'm excited. If you ever start shipping to New York, I want to be the first one to know. Let me know. I got to try this stuff. So that's awesome, man. And yeah, I really appreciate you coming on, Bryan. I just want to say, wish you the best of luck and continued success. I love your passion for what you're doing. It's undeniable. And yeah, I really look forward to staying in touch as well.
Yeah, thanks so much, you guys. My phone's already blowing up. Thanks again.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Bryan. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.